people can be surprised when I turn up because they are just expecting a white dude.
John is a professional photographer and we met on a corporate shoot in 2022 in Las Vegas. What stood out to me was his work ethic and his attitude under pressure.
Creative flair comes down the list if you want to survive in an industry like this.
He's been a photographer for nearly 2 decades now. He's shot anything from celebrities, riots, war zones, politicians, global brands, everyday people, all with the same level of care.
Honestly, my favorite compliment in this whole job is not like, that's a beautiful picture. It's nice when you hear that. But actually, the one that I really like is when people go.
But what's interesting though is that he didn't study photography. He didn't go to film school. He kind of learned everything the hard way through mistakes, through practice, and sometimes through humiliation.
The guy who was my first boss, he literally hired me saying, we're going to exploit you.
Sometimes you'll be on a shoot and then things will go horribly wrong.
You know, you can imagine how tense the situation is. Everyone there is terrified. He made me get my camera out and he's like, show me what you're taking pictures of. And they're all really nervous and literally got machine guns pointed at your face and everything like that. I say to him, I show him this picture. And he's like, this really tense moment. He's like, what's this? I went, it's a...
In this episode, we talk about imposter syndrome, discipline, pressure, work ethic, and what it takes to actually be good at something without needing to be too loud and build the confidence in your craft while keeping your ego in check. Let's get into it. C'est parti. John, how are you?
I'm good. It's lovely to be here. It's a little bit different to be in front of the camera. You know, when you spend almost 20 years behind a camera, you do still feel funny being in front of the camera. And that's changed slightly with like people, like when you're doing a shoot and people kind of go, can I do a picture of you or video of you while you're working? And you're like, okay, this is... feels slightly weird,
it's
unusual. Very meta, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, can you look at just a little bit more active? You're like, okay.
See, it feels weird to receive your own directions, right?
Oh yeah. It's like mega weird. And then you realize what you ask people to do, and then be like, oh, okay. I guess I can see why that works because it doesn't really work if you're just standing completely still and no one can really see, just like your finger moving.
Yeah. You're like, all right, keep it there.
Exactly.
Yeah, keep it there.
Exactly.
It's good.
Yeah.
Right. So, John.
Yeah.
I guess let's start with the beginning.
Okay.
Who are you? How would you introduce yourself as a human?
Okay. Well, on level, I'm just a normal person like anyone else. But I
define normal. I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. I'd say I'm a fairly driven person.
Yeah.
But probably like a lot of people in creative industries, you're your own worst critic, not just in your work, but kind of everything you do. You kind of look for a certain level of almost perfection. And I think that translates to a lot of people who try and push themselves to the higher end of their industry. I'm someone who I like to take on challenges. I like to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I think I've always done that, you know, from even going back before as a photographer, like traveling by myself, having never gone anywhere. I never left the country and then just going, okay, well, I'm just gonna go for 6 weeks by myself and go around Asia with no plan. I liked having no plan and then figuring things out and go, I didn't realize later on that would almost become a core bit of how I operate as well.
Yeah.
Is like, how do I operate without a plan? How do you navigate through situations, which then in the industry actually become really useful because in the work that I do, there's a lot of unknowns and it's not structured. All my shoots aren't structured. They're not kind of like weeks of planning in advance. I can sit down and map it out. Some of them are like that, but a lot of what I do is on the moment. So I'll get a call, same day, go in, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I realize that those lessons from earlier on kind of translate back. In terms of who else I am, I'm just someone who likes to just get my head down and do the job. So on certain things, I can become like so heavily focused. For example, like completely separate to work and stuff like that. During lockdown, a lot of us in the creative world, work just went down the toilet.
Completely.
Gone.
Yeah.
So it was like, I need something else to do. And it was like, well, the garden, we just moved into a new house and the garden was just like, it was like a jungle. And we also had no more money. So I was like, well, what I could do, what I have access to is YouTube and hours and hours and hours of people who have posted lots of information. I'm pretty good at watching and digesting information. So I was able to kind of just learn stuff, and really, I just focused really heavily, and I taught myself how to lay a patio, put fences, carpentry, everything in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because then I can get really locked in on certain things like that. But other things where it's like a long-term process, where like social media, for example, where you just need to continuously just plod along. It's not one hit and go done project.
Yeah.
That's the bits that I struggle with. That's why I couldn't do a 9 to 5 regular job, because it is, for me, it's that same thing of sitting in a repeated pattern. And I can't do that like every day, to sit between certain hours, and that bit of work never ends. It just gets added to.
Is that because then you can't see the end goal? Are you saying?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. And also it's focus. This might be undiagnosed, kind of like ADHD or something, but like I like accelerated, high stress almost situations that come with a real intensity and a real focus, and you just lock in hard on whatever the task is and you complete it. Like a video game, a gamification of life. That's what I need.
There's a start, there's a process, there's an end.
Exactly. Yeah. And then move on to something else.
And move on. And the end is not too far down the line. Yeah, it's actually, you can visualize it.
You can visualize it. And that for me that probably sums up a lot of my character. You know, people see high activity and stuff like that. But in other things, like for example, the worst bits of my job, being self-employed, the paperwork side, I'm terrible at invoicing. Yeah. Because it's a slow process that never ends. Yeah. You know, replying to emails, doing all these little things like updating your website and adding to it constantly. It's these continuous actions. It's continuous actions that I struggle with. That's probably my weakest point. Whereas like the high octane straight in, I can smash that, you know.
And just get through it.
I just get through it. Even if it involves, say, doing a shoot, finishing it late, editing through the night, because you know there's a deadline. I know they want this by this time. It will be delivered by this time.
Is there then anything else apart from that pressure or that deadline that would keep you accountable? Because, you know, I'm guessing you have to impose yourself a certain self-discipline.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to hit the deadline or, you know, wake up early or go to bed super late because you have to deliver.
Well, wanting to maintain a level of quality. So especially a lot of people who have come into the industry, like, so I, like, a bit of back history, I didn't study photography. Okay. So I've been a photographer now for close to 20 years professionally. Yeah. But I studied biochemistry at university.
Not telling your age. Not telling your age at all.
I started when I was 2. So I'm 22 now.
22? Yeah. I thought you
early starter, you know, a little time, you know, but like, I got hired very quickly. I was obviously ahead of my time. I was like Mozart. Wow. Yeah. Child prodigy. You know? So like a lot of people who, having come into this through, say, a traditional, I studied it, you know, I went to university, I got a degree in photography and all this stuff, you know. Yeah. There's a certain degree of like imposter syndrome. A lot of people have that. Yeah. If you haven't come through that system, like I talk to people and they'll be like, "Oh, so which art college did you study at?" And you're like, "I didn't." You know, you're like, "Oh, okay." And then they'd be like, "Oh, name who are your favorite kind of like photographers?" I'm like, "I don't know." I look at images and I like, but I wish. I look at them and I just think, that was rubbish. That was terrible.
You should try that once.
Yeah. So I hate looking back at my old photos. I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. Yeah. But yeah, it's that kind of like imposter syndrome that pushes you all the time to be better and to look at other people's work and kind of go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, crap, I don't do it as well as that. That almost motivates you compared to some people who might feel an entitlement and that their work is already the complete and finished article. Then there's no incentive to push yourself or to maintain a quality standard because you think everything you do is already it, you know? Yeah. You've hit that apex. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting though that for you, it pushes you and it encourages you because some people, it might deflate them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Where does that come from? Because, you know, it's like that growth mentality where basically you see something that's better and you're thinking, I want to get that. I want to be able to replicate it or do even better.
I think it's just like a competitive mentality. Some people are very competitive in that sense and not necessarily with others. It's competitive with itself. Like it translates for me to sport. So I hate running. You're a runner.
Yeah.
I know that. You love running. I hate running because for me, I can't feel the competition element. Whereas when I play tennis or play football, for me, it's getting to the ball first. Chance of that shot looks like it should, like I shouldn't be able to get to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to it. Like, I am going to run like a terrier on drugs,
Yeah.
trying to get to that line.
Yeah.
And people will see it and be like he's just running around like a crazy person. But like it's that kind of mentality of like I don't want to let that go, and it is just like a dog with a bone. It's all about maintaining a standard, which is hard to do over a really long period.
It is
really hard to do. Like to keep going, to keep trying to learn. I know I've seen a lot of photographers in my time that have just gotten a bit bitter and gone, oh, these kids are coming in doing that and that. It's like, well, they're coming in, they're pushing you. You
Yes.
should find that as reason to push yourself more instead of using it as a reason to kind of like blame everyone else for you not being as good. It's only up to you how good you are.
Yeah.
Are you trying out new things? Are you pushing yourself? Are you putting yourself outside your comfort zone to try and improve? The two big things for me, discipline and resilience. You don't even need to have, like, honestly, I do think creative flair comes down the list if you want to survive in an industry like this. It's the people who can be consistent, and consistence goes hand in hand with discipline, because you're going to be consistent if you're disciplined in what you do. If you don't have a method, so I have a methodology with a lot of things that I work through, like certain shoots. If I'm doing, say, for example, a portrait, I try and understand quickly, even if it's last minute, what the person and the story's about. So how do I light this quickly? Even if it's a very quick single light setup, how do I angle it? Am I pushing hard? Am I pushing it softer to create a nice, gentler feel to it? Evoke what? So you have to have that methodology, and that's discipline again, by working through that really quickly and understanding that. Yeah. So it's just, it is key. And then resilience is like when things go wrong, can you get up again and can you do it again and face it again? When someone tells you that shoot was a bit disappointing, can you brush it off and go, okay, I'll take that as a learning exercise?
You're talking like that about being able to like the shot and having the structure basically and the knowledge to do it. But when we think about creativity, usually it's the opposite. It's like it doesn't have boundaries. You can go pretty much anywhere you want. But then you have discipline on the other side that's like in a box. But actually, maybe one can help the other.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of times when you're actually working, when you're doing your own projects and stuff like that, creativity, you can just do whatever you want. But actually, in an industry, a lot of times it's creativity within confines. So you have a client, and at the end of the day, the client has a certain look or a style or something they need to get in. So you have to work that creativity within those boundaries. You can't just go free flowing and kind of going, it's like, oh yeah, we're working inside a McDonald's and we're doing a charity thing inside here. And you're like, oh, I'm going to make a black and white art piece about it. It's all going to be silent. And it's going to be like, you're like, no, that's not going to work. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? That's why it doesn't matter who you're working for. Like there's always certain things that you're going to have to work within, unless literally you are like an art kind of like, art house photographer, filmmaker.
Yeah.
Where you have, you're just making it for yourself, which I can't relate to. People think if you're a photographer, you're the same as all other types of photography.
Yeah.
So they will be like, people ask me all the time, oh, do you do like family pictures and stuff like that? I'm like, no.
No.
Do you do weddings? No.
Yeah.
Don't do any of that stuff. No, because I work in the field. Then it's like, oh, do you do these like high concept art kind of photography? It's like, no, because that also isn't me.
Yeah.
And that's at opposite ends of the spectrum. I live somewhere else and that's my space, So it's understanding that not everyone with those same tools is the same thing. Yeah. And the thing is, because like you'll have a portfolio, but rarely people spend time actually looking through your full portfolio and your website and stuff like that. Because they just, a lot of times they can't be bothered, even though they're spending money on a campaign or something. They don't do due diligence, which is why I see a lot of people hire very bad photographers and then come to you after the initial photographers failed because they haven't done their research and due diligence to see if someone can fit it. Like, for example, I did a job for KFC and it was like a new burger. a new
Okay.
Zinger burger. And what they did is set the stunt up in one of their branches where they had a fire effect running across the full counter.
Okay.
So kind of like using lights and bits, created flame looking. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I had the brief of the shoot and all that, and I bought lights down. I'm like, I don't want a big flooding light because you'll kill the effect of that. And I'll bring in a tiny backlight for when there's a customer meant to be standing there to hit the back of them. So you're thinking through all these processes like we talked about.
Yeah.
And you're gaming it. Even if on the day it doesn't work, at least you have a game plan when you go into it.
Yeah.
Now, I was there for the PR team. The PR team had hired me to do the press shots for this. The marketing team had hired someone else to come in as well. Both KFC, but just two different branches, two different teams.
Yeah.
The marketing team hired someone off Instagram who was a fairly young photographer. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a young photographer, but maybe like a lot less experience. And her style was just doing like her cool friends out in like cool spaces under natural light only.
Okay.
And like gritty kind of like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so when we got in there and we're talking like a regular branch KFC, they're not glamorous.
Yeah, no.
You're talking like low ceilings, like the windows are always at the front.
Yeah.
And it just gets progressively darker as you go back into it. And so it's like just using just whatever strip lights. And because they turned them all off for the fire effect, it's dark. She had no lights, nothing like that. She was using some funky style retro camera, which had a very specific effect on it.
Okay.
But it's useless in that kind of space.
Yeah.
And then she was just like saying, I just can't, this is just too hot. I can't get it. She was looking at mine and she was like, oh, how are you getting all that lit up and that as well? I was like, well, because there's a light there. I've got a light.
Yeah.
And,
you brought your own light.
For the space. Yeah. I've got all my lights in. I've set them all up and everything. And she didn't quite understand about using off-camera lights, which for me is, if you're hired as a professional, you need to be able to not use natural. You need to use everything, basically. You need to be able to understand all light. Light's light. So I hate the term, I'm a natural light photographer. It's like...
Yeah.
That's one of the things that exhausts me. It just drives me mental. It's like, oh yeah, I just work with natural light only. It's like, that just means that you're just basically advertising your flaw and that you don't know how to use off-camera light. It's not like I go, oh, bloody hell, it's just the sun. I don't know how to use that. That light's different. I only work with things that are artificial. I have no idea how that giant light source in the sky works. Yeah.
It's way too bright, and
it's
I can't
too complicated.
dim it.
Yeah, I can't put anything over the top of it.
Yeah.
How am I meant to mask it or put a modifier on that? It's in the sky to start with. Yeah.
It's way too high.
Really
I can't
big.
reach.
Yeah. It's like, what size would even fit that? I don't even know what mount it takes. That does wind me up. And it was asking like questions. Like she was looking over my shoulder when I was editing it. And she's like, oh, how have you done that effect where the person is kind of like in focus, but everything else is out of focus? I was like, what, you mean like depth of view? It's like, that's kind of like, and she's like, yeah. It's like, how have they hired you? And again, that goes back to people not doing due diligence on who you're bringing in.
And it's nothing wrong about her. She's got her skills.
And her things were great. The style that she did for that. And if they were doing like, say, for something for trainers or sportswear outside and you wanted like cool urban and young people in like a derelict space or something like that, like advertising cool clothes, perfect. Yeah, that style would work perfectly. But it's fitting the photographer to the styling,
to the job. Yeah,
and so if you can be good at all of those things, it just means that nothing phases you. Then you can go in and say yes to pretty much everything.
Obviously, you'll have the wedding photographer, and there are some families within photography. Yeah. Obviously, you'll be able to work your way around.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about purely in a commercial sense.
But in the commercial sense, it's...
At the same time, if I had to do a wedding, I've done a wedding before and stuff like that. I could do it. I just don't like them.
Yeah. Because it's a different beast, isn't it?
It's just horrific. It's just... dealing with like families and pushy parents and stuff like that. It's just like, give me a riot any day of the week. I would honestly take a riot. Yeah, it's just far simpler.
And risk your life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Fight with the police.
Yeah. I've done all of that, though. I've been in that. I've been in, a conflict space and stuff like that before. I'm like, okay, this is far less stressful.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Give me terrorists over mother-in-laws any day. Might have that as a t-shirt.
I'll get one of those. Yeah. I'll get you one of those. What do people normally get wrong about you?
I I think there are certain elements. I think honestly, like there is definitely a, you don't want to go and fall back on it, but there's definitely a racial element. People can be surprised when I turn up because they are just expecting a white dude, like a classic looking photographer look.
Yeah.
So they turn up and they're like, it's me. There's you can tell, and I know I've been working at this for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, is this guy, can he do the job? Is he good enough? Like, does he know what he's actually doing? Because I'm not a 6 foot, like, I am of the right age range, but
Yeah.
a white dude, But then I revel in making them almost eat their words.
Yeah.
That spurs me on to being like, well, I'll show you. And then
Yeah.
at the end, they're like, oh, these are actually really good.
These are actually
Actually,
really
yeah.
good.
It's like, oh,
Actually.
surprising, yeah.
So what's one simple thing? Because, meeting you, it was your workflow and the discipline you have and just knowing your craft. I found that very inspiring, and just the way you talk about it as well.
Yeah.
You feel like you know what you're talking about.
It's funny because I don't think about, like, you have to be fairly narcissistic to spend a lot of time thinking about yourself. And like, what do I think of me? What do other people think of me? Like, just looking in the mirror and it's like, oh yeah, you are good at this and that. So you don't really think about it, but you do notice it when you get comments.
Yes.
So I will get comments, for example, from people who I take there when I do a job and do them and go, that was really good. You made me feel at ease that you seem to know what you were doing, which is a very simple comment, but it's a big thing. They'll be like, oh, the photographer that last time, just didn't seem to understand what they were doing and didn't make me feel confident because they didn't seem to like know what they were doing and seem confident. Whereas you seemed very sure of what you wanted and how you were doing it, and everything went like straight away. You weren't sat there thinking for ages. And, I've had people say, oh yeah, I've had a photographer come in before and say, oh no, it's impossible to shoot in this space for X, Y, and Z reason, which is rubbish. There's no reason to not shoot in any space. They're like, the light, it's impossible to shoot in this light. Well, you problem solve. Our job is all about problem solving.
Yeah, it is.
You make it happen. I never say you can't. I might say it might be a bit tricky. We might have limited options, but there's always options.
Yeah.
We'll make it work. We'll find a way.
I'll be completely honest. Just being with you on set actually gave me confidence and knowing, okay, maybe I got this. Like, that
definitely.
imposter syndrome you were talking about at the beginning. I felt that as well because I haven't been through film school. I learned on YouTube.
Me too.
And through practice.
I still learn through that. I learn through talking to other people. I watch someone else do something and go, oh, that's really cool. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
I have no shame in asking someone who's much older or even much younger. If you can better me and better my processes, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just want the secret sauce from everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
If you see something that you like, you want to understand it or you want to know how it's done, whoever's done it has done it.
Where some people don't want to feel like, it's like, I don't want to have to ask a 22-year-old how to do something. I've been doing this so long, it's just like, well, that's just your own ego. They're holding you back from being better.
Oh, you definitely have to check your ego at the door.
Oh, yeah.
I think to make it through.
Sure. Definitely, because it's going to get kicked around.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that helps. Like I look back and I did have that at the beginning where I was just kind of like, I was blagging it a lot of the times. And for people who aren't from the UK, how would you describe blagging it? Making it up.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly that. So the way I started, for example, was I liked doing travel photography and I was in a photography club at university.
Yeah.
But it was all street photography and, you got no pressures. There's no limitations. You're just doing it for yourself. And then I went away and I did other stuff for a bit. I was teaching for a while and stuff like that. Not doing photography, just teaching after university. And so then I made a decision I wanted to become a photographer. So then I thought, okay, well, I need to do a course. But then the stupid thing is the university course I wanted to do for photojournalism was like, okay, you need experience to get on the course. I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, which is why I want to do a course.
Yeah.
But I can't get experience until I know what I'm doing. But I can't do the course until I have experience. And it was just like chicken and egg situation. So I ended up just going to a local newspaper and saying, look, can I come in for a bit off my own time to get experience? And they said, yeah, come in. So I was doing that for a little bit. And then I got some very wise words from one of the guys who was working at the local newspaper, this old guy. He was just like, don't bother doing a course. He said, just go straight into the workplace and just learn everything there, because you will learn everything faster and everything that you learn will be relevant to the job.
Yeah.
Which was 100% true. I went to an agency and I made so many mistakes and I got real world bollockings for it. You know, like the guy who was my first boss, he literally hired me saying, we're going to exploit you. We're going to pay you very, very little.
Okay.
And we're going to work you very, very hard.
Yeah. But
you will get amazing experience and you will learn the job quickly. And every time I did something wrong, he made it known, because it was a business. This wasn't a learning thing. Yeah. This wasn't a school where they could go, oh, maybe you could improve that and that. Yeah. He would just be like, that's crap. Go back and reshoot it. You know, the humiliation. Like, I did one of my shoots. And I was like, I did a portrait session of this woman, really basic, pretty crap for the time, but I was happy with it. Yeah, I went back and I filed it, uploaded it, and my boss looked through it, and he had a special way about him about bringing you down, and, and he was looking through and he's like, "So John, you happy with these? Are you happy with these images?" He's going through all of them. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I feel a setup coming here. And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. And this one as well. And all these is like, yeah. No. He's like, right. He's like, what about the dado rail? I'm like, what's a dado rail? Yeah. And if you don't know what a dado rail is, which I didn't at the time, it's in some houses, there's a little strip of wood around the room. And I didn't realize that in every portrait. I hadn't moved her around. I didn't do it in any other place. I just kept in the same line from the same perspective. And basically the data roll went in one ear and straight out the other ear for every picture. So she had this perfect line going out, like an arrow sticking through her head for every shot. And then it was humiliation. He was like, yeah, now go back and reshoot it. So I had to go back to this woman's house. And the humiliation of going back and knocking on the door and going, hi, I did lie. I did go, sorry, there's a malfunction in the camera. I'm going to have to reshoot it. I didn't mention the data rail.
It's not my fault, it's the camera.
She didn't need to know that bit. But I reshot it, but I never forgot about looking for extraneous things. So it was a lesson I took with me forever. Yeah. Like, what's in the background? Is there a cable randomly running out of someone's head or something like that? What's pointing out? Is there two weird plants that makes someone look like the horns or something like that? It's all these little lessons.
So how do you make sure then those lessons, they stick, you know?
Humiliation. You just remember the humiliation.
It's an emotional
it's emotional thing. Yeah.
People will remember things that are emotionally connected to them.
Absolutely.
Things that happens with moments of high emotions. Obviously, those are lessons or knowledge that you'll retain for a very, very
That's why it was so good to get it on the job, you know, because this was a money-making business. Yeah. And I feel like you wouldn't necessarily get that level of constructive criticism had you been just on a course. Someone might be, oh yeah, it's fine. And also on the courses, there's a lot of arty-based stuff and not necessarily industry good practice taught. Yeah. You know, because they try and pad out a whole year or 2 years, whatever your course is. Yeah. They have to pad it out. And so they don't necessarily drill down on doing the same thing over and over again and doing it very well.
That you say there, doing those same things over and over and over again. And doing it well. You know, it can seem very mundane, but actually that's the small thing that can make a huge difference at the end.
Incremental advances that you make through it. Yeah. So you do it one way, you repeat it, but then you make it slightly better. And you realize, oh, actually that doesn't work quite as well. I'm going to change that. And slightly better, that adds to your workflow and that changes everything. Again, other little things that you learn, like, you know, I was, again, another one at the beginning, like I didn't know my kit. I was giving a lot of kit. Like I had... When I first started, I had just a little cheap consumer camera with a little pop-up flash. Okay. That's all I understood about light was this little pop-up flash. Yeah. And if you've ever had a camera with a pop-up flash, it'll cover the distance from me and you. Yeah. But it is literally pointless of it. And it's a direct little flash. It's like anyone who's probably under the age of 25, 30 probably doesn't remember little cameras with little flashes on top. Yeah. But they're full flash basically. Yeah. And that's it. So when I first got given like a hot shoe mounted flash gun, speed light, I used to just stick it on top. Yeah. I didn't know what I was meant to do. I didn't realize that you could do other things. I just used to point it straight at the person and it would just melt them. Yeah. You know, you get this hard flash and then you get this hard shadow around the edges. Yeah. And it was little things of looking back and going, oh, that is really bad. Why is it like that? And I was doing stupid things like trying to Photoshop the shadow soften it without understanding Photoshop at the same time as well. It was like, but all these things forced me to kind of be like, oh, okay. Then you learn how to bounce. And then from bouncing off, you know, it was like, oh, this is crazy. If I bounce it off the ceiling, it's all much more even.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, but if I put it off on a stand, it's even better. Oh, if I put it inside a modifier, so you get this pathway to improvement. Oh, if I add a second light as a hair light, that's even better.
Yeah.
So it's like incremental increases that improve everything.
But then you were open to learning what you didn't know about.
Mainly because I knew I didn't know anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
But if you're aware that you don't know anything and that you're willing to learn, that's already the first step to actually getting better.
Exactly. And that goes back to the whole kind of like people who you need to have an awareness of your limitations.
Yeah.
And know that you don't have it all. You know, you don't have every single technique under your belt, like, you know, like some super master that can just do every single thing perfectly.
And it's probably never going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. Like,
so what's a small habit or very mundane thing that you've always done that took you from where you were back then to where you are now and that guided you through your career?
I would say reviewing my own stuff and reviewing other people's stuff. Yeah. And just seeing what's the gap? What's the skill gap? So am I slipping? Is my quality control dropping? It's maintaining a standard. Like, I've shot very, very famous people. I've also shot very, very normal people. And it's making sure I shoot both of them exactly the same way. And I keep every single shot with that same level. And that's the discipline of going, this is just as important as that.
Yeah.
You know, don't make a distinction and go, I will drop my effort level down to 30% just because this is like a pensioner who isn't important. No, you know, and I always tell people that is exactly the way I shoot. I shoot to the same level, regardless of who or what the situation is. I'll always try and maintain that exact same level because it always comes back to like what people say, you're only as good as your last shoot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're only as good as your last shoot or you're only as good as your worst shoot?
I hope that's not true. Some pretty terrible ones previously.
What's then been your worst shoot where something went horribly wrong, and what did it take for you to actually not get discouraged and keep showing up?
We talked about discipline and all that. Discipline does slip.
Yeah.
No one is great. Like 99% of the time, I've got all my kit, everything's good to go. One time I did a job and it was meant to be just a quick job, and I took a cut down kit so I could get on public transport.
Yeah.
And I took a bag and all that. And I bought a spare battery and all that, but I didn't realize that I'd accidentally picked up an old battery, and the battery in the camera was also starting to run down. So I was partway through the shoot, and then the low battery light starts coming on, and then I realized that I'm having to turn the camera on and do one shot, turn it off. Oh wait, and then they were like, "Do you want to do a couple more shots of this?" I'd be like, "Nope, no. I've got it. It's fine." Let's keep going. While I'm like messaging furiously, like people going, "Can anyone get to me and bring me a battery?" Yeah. I can really do it, battery now. And luckily I was able to stretch it out and I got through it. And you do get through these things. Other times shoots are like, they'll tell you, oh yeah, you've got an hour or 40 minutes to shoot this person. You get there and they're like, you've got 2 minutes. So you're like, okay, well, you just make do with it. There's no point in arguing, going, oh no, you know, the email said I had an hour, 40 minutes. Like, well, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's why with a lot of jobs, one thing I do is because I do a lot of portraiture, and say it's politicians, musicians, whatever, for articles, you don't know the space.
Yeah.
And you don't really know how long because they tell you how long and then it goes out the window. The moment it starts, it just isn't a thing.
Yeah.
So the moment I walk into a space, I'm analyzing what's a good space. What's the light there? What's a good background there? Oh, that's quite nice. And then I'm already logging it. So by the time I even get to talk to the PR or whatever, they go, oh yeah, you know, we were thinking about using this boardroom, and be like, no, boardrooms look terrible. I was actually looking at this space already and this, and I was just on the walk in. So it's analyzing constantly and making that plan as you go.
It goes back to what you were saying earlier about gamifying it. You know there's a very tight deadline and you don't have much room for error.
No.
And the client's there and he's expecting a result, obviously, and you have to make sure that you deliver.
Yeah.
So as the situation comes, you just have to adjust and problem solve.
Yeah. One big one that I didn't mention, especially with portraiture, where it's like rapport building. So people skills are like
Yeah.
paramount in this job.
Mm.
You know, honestly, my favorite compliment in this whole job is not like that's a beautiful picture. It's nice when you hear that, but
Yeah.
actually the one I get a lot and the one that I really like is when people go, "Oh, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be." At the end of it, especially if they're not like a model or someone like who takes pictures regularly, they're just like, "Oh, I was really scared," and it was like, "You made that really easy."
Yeah.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah.
And it means that you built rapport really quickly and you soften them. And the rapport is like, it's a chameleon skill. It's a soft skill that has nothing to do with photography, but it's one that is so useful, like to be able to walk into a space and relate within 30 seconds of meeting them.
Yeah.
You might have to do that by changing your personality. If someone's upbeat, match their energy. If someone's a bit more reserved, you take it down, but you open yourself up to them and make it, if they're a bit defensive, you need to help them to drop the defenses, feel comfortable in your space.
How do you keep yourself to that high standard? Because it's not always easy, you know. Sometimes you have your own emotions as well, and you have the way you feel that you are obviously bringing with you, that's within you. How do you make sure that you leave that behind and you're able to match whoever's energy?
Probably goes back to the whole gamification of it, to be honest. I take myself out of it and I'm like, how do I complete the level? Well, I complete the level by relating to this person. I need to do that. It's like goals. It's like directives in a video game where you got to like tick off certain objectives to get through the level. One of them is build rapport.
Yeah.
You know, like scope location. You know, I'll never, you know, what are your emotions in this? You know, like you need to just take yourself out of it because this isn't about you.
Yeah.
And it's never meant to be about you. If it's a subject that you're shooting, it's them.
Yeah.
You know, and you become a mirror to them. So it helps anything that bounces back, the energy that they give you, it needs to be the right one.
Yeah.
If you give them passive aggressive back, and I've heard other people say it to me before, it's like, you know, I felt really uncomfortable. The photographer was like a bit aggressive and bossy and was a bit rude and things like that. So it just made me feel like a bit tense and stuff.
Yeah.
And that will come across in your pictures. That will look bad because they don't feel natural. So by taking a lot of your own personal emotions out, it definitely allows you to focus and kind of lock in on what needs to be done.
Now I get where your secret lies, to be disciplined and to force yourself into doing things even if you don't want to do them.
Yeah.
And it's that gamification, isn't it?
It is. For example, one story was when I was working for a newspaper, they sent me to it was called the Red, White and Blue Festival, which was a white nationalist festival for the BNP party, which is a British National Party back in the day. And so they would hold this closed thing like in a community, and we were there to kind of go, well, they held it in this village. How did the village feel about this? You know, it's like all of a sudden a load of like white nationalists are in their space.
Yeah.
So we were just doing pictures from the outside, and, you know, we were just kind of like getting cars driving in and all that stuff like that. I was with a reporter at the time. And then these guys came out, these heavies from inside came out, and they started shouting at us and started going, "Are you taking pictures of kids?" Yeah. So they were like, "Oh, you you know, like, oh, you know, these taking pictures." And it was a bit of a hoo-ha, you know, and they came out and the cops looked through. I said, "Look, you can have a look. We're just doing the cars going in and the stuff from, you know, the outside public space." And the police were like, fine. And then I said to the guy who was one of their representatives, I was like, "Well, do you have anything to hide in there?" And he's like, "No, we've got nothing to hide." It's like, "Well, can we come in then?" I think I caught him back and he was like, "All right, I guess so."
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I'm the only ethnic minority that's ever walked around their festival. I went in and they were like, "This is where we're going to burn the effigies later on." And this is like where and you can see the faces of all the families and the people around there were just like, why the hell is this guy walking around in here? It's like, so that was uncomfortable, but it was like, well, I could get something very limited to standing outside of the cars going in, or I could push myself into an awkward situation and get something much better. Like, so it was like, I'll roll the dice.
Bigger risk, you get bigger rewards, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
it's
the game once again.
And it's not even like in dangerous things. It's about techniques. It's like you can rely on your safe techniques and your comfortable lenses and your comfortable lighting, and you know it inside out. Or you can take a chance sometimes, and we've done that with shoots where we've gone out together, you know, fun and like use stuff we've never used before, just to see how it works. Why not?
Yeah.
Get it wrong, you got it wrong, so what?
That helps with, I guess, your problem solving skills, being able to think quick is because you've put in the hours.
Yeah.
So I see discipline as this core thing you'd have, it's basically the basis you'd build your creativity upon.
Yeah.
So when you're on a shoot, obviously you have your basics and a structure that you're going to follow.
Yeah.
And then you can allow yourself to be more creative. But then sometimes you'll be on a shoot and then things will go horribly wrong. And, emotions in the room will get high, you'll be stressed and everything. And then you'll have to get back to the basics and make sure that you stick to your structure, stay within the boundaries to make sure that this shoot goes okay.
That happens all the time. That's, I'd say, a pretty common occurrence. Like in a studio, whatever, it can happen where, tensions and dynamics with people and stuff like that, but you just have to stay locked in and kind of like not let yourself come out of that. But in another way, there's some situations where everything goes out the window. And you just have to go back to your very, very core tenets of how you operate. So for one example, is when I was working as a photojournalist still, I was working for, a national newspaper. And it was around the time of, do you remember the Arab Spring?
Yes.
So that had happened. And, countries were falling and, governments were toppling and everything. And I got sent out to Tunisia when it happened there. So it was pretty crazy. We flew in to the south of the country on one of the last flights in. Getting in there, we had to get to the capital and we wanted to find if there were any British tourists still stranded and stuck within the country. So we were trying to make our way up to Tunis from the south, and we had to pay a local driver a ton of money, and there was curfew set. And once we were on the road, like, it was pretty terrifying, honestly. Like, it was pretty crazy. So, you're coming down the road and you see people lining up other people down, on their knees on the side of the road with, and they've all got guns and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
We were coming up to like I remember getting out of a taxi and straight into tear gas and everyone running through. I'm just running with our kit to try and get to a hotel and like quickly banging on the gates where they've boarded it all up and them just squeezing you in and shutting everything in and, tanks rolling down the road and all that stuff. And one situation was we were in a taxi and we were driving down and you come to a barricade where some people have just put tires and bits of wood. This isn't the government forces or anything. And they would be like, we had a cover. We were just like, we're tourists and we're just trying to get out. And I had all my kit hidden under the front seat and hidden away because we just didn't want to raise tension until we got to our objective. Objective was finding British tourists who were stuck. So I wasn't there just to take pictures of everything.
Yeah. So
we had a set objective. Hold your cover until you get to that point, until you find what you need to find. Like, that's your mission.
And you don't know where you're going to find it.
Yeah. So we were aiming for the airport to find if anyone was stuck at the airport. But getting there was hard because you got to a makeshift barricade and people would come out and they were all nervous and twitching. They're like, who are you? Why are you here? There were rumors of like foreigners who the government had brought in to agitate or with weapons and stuff like that. And so we get to one and we'd be like, we got nothing, man. Like we're just tourists getting out. They searched the cars. Luckily they didn't find anything. Then they just be like, okay, go. So we go and you literally go 100 meters and you'd hit another one and the whole process would start again. And you'd be like, I just talked to your guys down the road. We just talked to them. They passed us, They're like, no. Same thing would happen. And you had to stay calm within yourself. Stick to your story. Don't break. Stay calm. Keep going. We got going. Got close to the airport. And eventually we got to a point where it wasn't the locals with the weapons. We found some random government forces. And by this time, the government has collapsed. So these cops don't know who they're working for. The military don't know. Yeah. So our car gets stopped. They get us out of the car and they've all got machine guns pointed at us. So they all got rifles like going and everyone's twitchy. And they're like, who are you? And we're like, we're just tourists trying to get out. So they search the car and they do a more thorough search and they find my camera bag and they find professional cameras. Yeah. And they're like, what's all this then? At that point you rumbled, you're like, okay, we're photojournalists, we're reporters. We're here just to cover this. And they're like, what are you taking pictures of? And they're really nervous. And the truth is I hadn't taken any pictures yet because we were keeping it covered until we found anything. He made me get my camera out and he's like, show me what you're taking pictures of. And they're all really nervous and literally got machine guns pointed at your face and everything like that. you just stay calm. And like, okay, play it. And then you play it. And then it was like, you can imagine how tense the situation is. Everyone there is terrified. And I say to him, I show him this picture. And he's like, this really tense moment. I'm like, he's like, what's this? I went, it's a cat dressed as a wizard or a clown. And there's this moment where everyone's just looking at each other. No one knows really what to say. And he's like, what's the next picture? And I scroll across and it's like, it's a rabbit with a jumper on. And we're going through. Now it's another rabbit in a skirt. And it's like this bizarre brilliant. Kind of like moment. You're like, well, how do I kind of like, oh yeah. And we also had a cat as a pirate. Because like, the last job I'd done in London before I like was, quickly sent out was people who like to dress their animals up in outfits in the studio. This is our job. You can go from one extreme to the other, but you keep your head, and it was just this weird thing of like, well, what happens here? It was just like, stay calm. I just don't know what it was. And then it was really surreal. Then he went past all those ones and there was a picture of a woman. He's like, and who's this then? I'm like, oh, that's Jean from Essex. And she's talking about her mortgage rates.
Oh, wow.
And then I think they must have thought we were absolutely mental and like, just like ridiculous. And like these comedy characters, they let us go in the end, but it was just staying calm and not flapping and just kind of like, yeah. And so you go through these kind of like, back to basics, just see the environment, stay calm in it, work your way through the problem.
Did you know what he was going to see? When
I don't remember, to be honest. No, I wasn't, no, in that moment, I wasn't really thinking about it. I knew I didn't have anything dodgy because I knew I hadn't taken pictures yet.
Yeah.
I just forgotten that I'd done that shoot. So I was so locked in on the moment.
Yeah.
So I just pressed play because he was just like, show me.
When you saw the picture, what did you think?
I was like, this is kind of embarrassing. I wish it was something cooler. Why did it have to be the animal shoot? It could have been something better
It doesn't get any cooler, man. It does not get any cooler. This whole scene would be out of a movie.
I know. Absolutely bonkers. And the thing is, that's not even like a one-off. These things crop up a lot.
Yeah.
Because this job is bonkers at the end of the day.
I mean, not that you're in a life or death situation on a daily basis.
No, I kind of put that bit behind me now.
Yeah.
I moved to more kind of like, my problems now tend to be, for example, I'll just have like a really irritating hair and makeup artist who just keeps getting in the way. And how do I not shout at her and go, I can't take 2 frames without your hand appearing.
Yeah.
So it has varied now from guns to brushes.
What would you say to someone that's struggling with their habits or their discipline, basically? They can't stick to anything.
I would say don't try and make wholesale changes because it's too hard to just go in and try and make a million changes to your workflow and everything like that. Just start incrementally. It's like when I was changing how I use my lights. I incrementally changed from on-camera flash to a speed light, which was aimed somewhere else to diffuse, to another light, to working my way up. So it was always small changes rather than going, I need to get from here to all the way to this point, in one step. Well, who's telling you need to do it in one step? Yeah. Because that is so rare. Like, no one starts at the gym and goes, by next week, I want to be an Olympic powerlifter.
Yeah.
Like, the best things are done with consistency. Consistency and just small evolutions.
It's the small, boring things that you can easily overlook that actually get you really, really, really
Absolutely.
far.
People are always looking for a shortcut. It's like with you and, your triathlon and any kind of like pro sport thing where people put in a lot of effort to get tiny increases to like make a slightly better time by seconds. But the amount of work you have to put into it, the proportion just to get that little shave time, just to be able to jump that much higher or be that much faster.
People can think, if you get into a routine or you have your discipline, it's hard at the beginning and then it gets easier. It actually doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Because at the beginning, you actually make much bigger improvements.
You make bigger strides. Oh, 100%.
Because when you go from 0 to 50, it's really easy.
Newbie
you get
gains.
to 50,
Everyone loves newbie gains.
Yeah, exactly. To get from 50 to 90, you need a bit more work, but it's okay. It comes quite quickly. But then from 90 to 100, oh boy.
It's exactly that.
You're going to have to work really hard.
Same with like when you get to a certain point with photography, to get small increases, you have to really think about it and have to put in a lot of work, and it's very different than like compared to I love the beginning just because like you're just improving so quickly.
Yeah. Do you always need a motivation to stay disciplined?
I don't necessarily need that, to be honest. I think it's just an inbuilt character thing. My motivation is just, I just don't want to let myself down. And I have a inbuilt quality control that I don't like to drop below that because I'm disappointed in myself otherwise. Because I'm handing in something that I'm not happy with and something's crap.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's quite selfish. I don't care about the client all that much. I care about how good my stuff is that I'm giving to them, which happens to coincide with what they want. So they want good, but I'm mainly doing it for me. Like, I'm not trying to impress them. I'm trying to make sure I'm happy with my own work. And that should be more than enough to cover them.
Well, John, as we are coming near the end of the podcast, I mean, I could keep talking to you for hours.
Yeah,
literally.
This is really enjoyable.
Every time I call you, I'm thinking I have one question and then it's going to be a 2-minute phone call, but always ends up being like 15, 20 minutes.
And in all honesty,
sometimes an hour because, you know,
it's easy.
It just flows.
And going back to that, like, competitive thing with yourself, would you say I'm the best so far? I know this is the first one. So you can say yes.
Yes, John, you are the best one so far.
There you go.
So as a closing tradition in this podcast, I mean, we've not been going for long, but anyway.
A tradition's got to start somewhere.
Exactly. You know, every day or every now and then, you'll find yourself drifting away. Like you'll be fully awake, but your mind will start just drifting. So these days, what does your mind drift to? Or just in general, what does your mind drift to?
The things I love. So my family, especially my daughter, I think about her all the time. You know, just drift off to what she's up to and her little cute face, and then randomly snowboarding. In the middle of summer, I can just think of that feeling of being at the top of a mountain, getting off a lift, first thing, very first lift, that fresh air, that beautiful sunny view, and you just sat there taking in this, you know, and you think, this is what I live for as well. This is great. You know, and I love my job, I love the moments, but there are, that's the other places that I can just kind of like drift off to. I'm just like, the feelings that come with it, you know?
I wish I can experience it one day. I don't know if I'm brave enough to...
You know speed.
The issue is not the speed. It's the cold.
Oh, the cold. Yeah, okay. That might get you actually. Yeah.
I'd rather pay and go in a mountain or somewhere where I can cycle or on the beach, you know, where I can swim.
I feel like I know you enough now, and I've seen you in cold weather, and you're not good. Go.
Yeah, in cold, no. Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing all these lovely stories
no worries,
with us.
No worries. Anytime.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. And in the meantime, if you did enjoy it, or if you learned something, if you found it funny, make sure you share it with someone that you think might like it as well. And then from us from now, it's goodbye.